Welcome, everyone. I want to thank you once again for joining another happy hour with Josh. I'm starting to enjoy these. Hopefully you are as well. And if you have seen our other happy hours, or my other happy hours, you will know this one's a little different. First of all, we have a guest. Say hi to Heather. Heather, hello.
Hello.
So for this happy hour, we have a very esteemed guest. And first of all, Heather, before I give you a proper introduction, you know, this is happy hour. What are you, I'm drinking just a good old fashioned beer. What are you drinking for happy hour?
I'm drinking a michelada, which is a beer, and then it's mixed with hot sauce and lemon. And I have tahini salt around the rim. It's my favorite.
Oh my God. And how are you pronouncing that? A michelada?
Uh-huh.
Heather, your beverage is as unique as you are as an individual. I love it.
That's funny.
So anyway, we're going to do something a little different for this happy hour. Those of you that have watched the rest of them know that they've been very informational, particularly relating to the uniqueness of the situation. But I wanted to be poetic with this happy hour because on this very day, right now, Heather, who you are looking at via your screen, was supposed to be on the stage at Art of Business in Atlantic City as our keynote speaker. Think of how different the world would have been. Unbelievable, Heather. And yet here we are doing this instead.
Much more casual.
Speaking of which, I wore my dress hoodie for this. Hopefully you know, everyone realizes how dressed up I am for this. But yeah, anyway, so what I thought we would do, just because we didn't get the opportunity to see Heather live and in person, and obviously I'm feeling somewhat nostalgic because we were going to have a killer show that never really, has yet to come to be. We're going to have it eventually. So I thought what we would do is, for this particular happy hour, is bring on Heather and then just get a couple nuggets from what would have been her keynote or one of her keynote speeches, and just that particularly can apply to what we're all going through right now. So that's what we're doing. You ready to roll?
I'm ready.
All right, you want to take a sip before we get going? I'm going to.
And
by the way,
I'll never say no
cheers.
to that.
I didn't toast you yet. Cheers.
Cheers. It was fun. My first happy hour.
So our topic is 3 tips that make change easier.
We got
Guys,
20 people.
I deeply apologize. It seems like Heather broke the internet. Somehow we lost our feed, but we're back. So forgive me for, but anyway, so thank you for your patience. All right, so just to get back going, hopefully we didn't miss too much of a beat. Heather, do you remember where you were in your response?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Not really for sure where we got cut off with you guys, but talking about the compelling reason why, and when we can make sure, I want to say if at all times, but that might be a little bit unrealistic, but as many times as possible, we're checking back in with that compelling reason for why we do what we do, and always make sure that that is way bigger than the circumstance. A lot of times we just give power to a circumstance and immediately let it take prestige or have more emotion connected to the circumstance than our compelling reason why.
So, Heather, I'm a big fan of like examples or like for instances. So maybe give me a for instance of what either your or someone's compelling reason why would be, and how that would look in real life, like maybe during this situation or when, you know, just something's not going right or whatever.
Perfect. Yes. Thank you for that. So for me, I look at Pipp University, one of my companies.
Oh my God, forgive me. I never actually gave you formal intro. That's right. Sorry.
You didn't? Oh, well, I didn't catch it.
Heather founded Pipp University and is owner of Neat Beat Salon, by the way. Go ahead. Sorry.
And so with Pipp University, I mean, this thing has failed so many times. At first, it was the Heather Yurko brand where I did weekly YouTube videos. I still have all the YouTube videos. My hair was the color of this blanket. That wasn't a success. So I switched gears, did Pipp University. Pipp University has been like 7 different things. And what really keeps me going, like my compelling reason from a real broad spectrum, is to be an example of what it looks like to positively impact people and have everything. Now, if we make that linear and strategic and get down, there are people out there in this industry that need the education and the support that I provide. So when I fail and fail and fail and feel dumb, none of those circumstances are enough to compete with me thinking about that salon owner that can't sleep at night. And I know she needs us. And that is what I focus on to keep me going. Not the fact that we've had in the past 6 months of no sales, not being able to make payroll. That is being bigger than your circumstances because you're allowing to be led by your compelling reason.
I love that. That's awesome. And just for me, just to highlight really what you said, because you were your persistence is born out of the clarity of your purpose. And if you didn't have that clarity, you would have given up on failure number 4, failure number 5, but you instead were really pushed forward by that persistence. And, all those failures just became, steps along the way to success and what you built. So
exactly.
That's really cool. Cool. I don't know if I cut you off, but I just
no, that was so good. In fact, I'm gonna have to go back and watch this because you said a real powerful line there that is just so true. And it's easy to get caught off guard with your circumstances. It's easy to allow those to dominate your thoughts. But that never has us arriving where we really want to be, ever.
Yeah. So whether you're like in your salon or with the people that you lead, or if you're as an individual, depending on who's watching this, how do you, like, if I don't have that clarity of purpose right now for my business or for whatever aspect of my life, do you have, like, what do you say to people in your organization, or how do you bring that clarity to the surface? Or what can you do to help people find that clarity, whether it's in yourself or somebody else?
Oh my gosh, Josh, that's a really good question. And that is one we did not rehearse, but I know the answer to it.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't rehearse all these. I got to throw some curveballs.
So this is so simple that just think about what you care about so much. We have one of our students in a program that we have, Rich Life Hairstylist. She's a mom. And the only thing she cares so much about her daughter seeing what it's like for mommy to go to work every day and bring home financial stability just as much as dad does. And she's like, what am I doing teaching my daughter if I'm just not pursuing what I want, not bringing financial responsibility to the family, because that means a lot to her. So her compelling reason is giving her daughter the example that she cares about. So it doesn't have to do with anything with business. What do you really care about? It could be having a completely different adult life than what you did as a child. It could be your kids living different. And we know what it is. We really, really do. It's just too many of us spend so much time talking about how we don't know rather than allowing the space for the answer to show up. Just sit and think about it. And do that 7 days in a row. And then on the 7th day, you're probably going to come up with something that you're like, man, I really care about that. I really care about that.
I love it. Cool. Now, when we talked earlier, we talked about one of the tips for making change easier was, or just something we wanted to get into was really examples of, when you've pushed through some discomfort, that inevitable discomfort or failure. And I guess we even touched on it with that last bit of the conversation. Like, how do you, and yet you still achieve, what lessons are there in there? What would you want to share with everyone?
Oh my gosh, here's another great example that's very, very, very recent. I just had a huge change within my salon where we changed our pricing structure. So now this is just how I say it because it's easiest to explain. We charge hourly now. We charge our guests hourly. So we have a chemical rate and a technical rate. Well, my salon's always been a salon that once you go through a price increase, or when you're going through a price increase, we raise prices by 20%. So we're not afraid to charge. That's never been a thing. But doing this, our prices were kind of skewed in some areas. So I had to make the executive decision to either really raise them, and some guests were going to be paying $60 to $70 more than what they were used to, or just kind of go mid-tier. And so I lost sleep about this for weeks, 3 weeks. I had a
Mhm.
spreadsheet built, 395 rows of analytics that I spent 2 months on. And when it just came down to it, Josh, I just kept thinking to myself, because obviously this is going to be a change. So I can sit here and I can be led by the fear, and I use the term waller, might be a Kentucky term, like
I've never heard the
wallering.
term waller, so
Most people
to
haven't.
translate.
Um, just like sitting in the unknown and then not making a move and then talking about how I don't know what to do. Or I can just act, deal with the consequences later, and really be led by my compelling reason with my team. And with my team, it's about I signed up for something, whether it was unconscious or not, when I became their leader. And that was to do whatever I needed to do to put them in a space to be successful and have fulfillment in their heart. When I thought about that and I focused on that, it is the only thing that made me pull the trigger, move to the pricing, but not just move to the pricing. We implemented the highest pricing absolutely possible. And man, when I think about that, that was in February. The only thing that got me through it was my compelling reason.
You know, Heather, you said something that actually made me think of something about you. I never shared this story with you, but I want to just highlight what you said. And now I'm actually forgetting the word. When you said you signed up to be their leader, say what you said. Say that again for me.
When I signed up to be their leader, whether it was subconscious or conscious, I signed up to do whatever I needed to do to make them successful, to have fulfillment in their hearts.
Yeah, and when you said that, one of the things I thought of, you know, and one of the things I admire about you most is, and we don't know each other that well, but my sense about you is you kind of, probably because of your compelling reason, you have this mindset where you know where you want to go, and you just decide, you put yourself out there and figure it out. You're not going to be deterred, even though you don't know all the steps. And what I'm thinking of, one story is, I remember talking to you before you'd ever really done a public speaking opportunity. And you said to me, I want to get on your stage in Art of Business, or a camp. I forget which one it was. And I looked at you, I'd never seen you speak before. I'm like, okay. And to be candid, I was a little, I remember when we talked about getting up there, I was a little gun shy because you didn't really have a lot of experience. And of course, you brought the house down. But I suspect it's still a little bit of that. You had that compelling why, and you said, you know what, I'm going to make this work. I'm going to figure it out. And that's why you're so determined. So I really appreciate that about you.
Thank you.
Let me ask you the corollary to that is, you know, there are times in life where you know, the world's sending you a signal and you need to pivot or change your goal, maybe because maybe what you've set out to do needs to be adjusted. So how do you balance, like, how do you know when you should maybe re-aim or retarget your goals, or when it's just, you just need to be determined and just keep forging ahead? Do you have like a sense of that?
Well, I'll just be very objective here and say most people, they will just pivot when one thing goes wrong.
They pivot too soon. Yeah.
My mentor, the one thing that my mentor, she said, y'all need to learn how to fail better. And I remember her saying that and being like, that is one contribution I would say to my success is I just don't care about failure because I'm so used to it. I mean, I have tried so many things that have just failed. And so now I'm numb. So if I hit a failure, it just really doesn't bother me. And I can get back up so quick and then think, okay, this is what I did. This is what didn't work. I need to change something, but I'm only going to change that thing because that's how you figure out the variable that's missing. If you just are always pivoting the entire thing, nothing will ever work because you're not able to pinpoint what's the problem with whatever you're trying to do. So for the most people, I'll just be blanket and say, you don't need to pivot. You need to focus. My whole thing is like for at minimum a year, minimum. I mean, it could go up to 5 years, but minimum a year before you even think about going in a different direction. And too many people, just because we're conditioned to where if we experience something that's less than ideal or less than where we want to be headed, we think it's a bad thing. If you think about like getting grades in school, like all A's, if you get something less than that, it's seen as bad. So that's going to translate when we get older. And it's like, there needs to be no pivoting. Now, I'm exaggerating the point in order to make one. For the most
But I get
part,
it.
though, yeah.
Most people pivot too soon. So you don't want to, right. You said something about failing better, and it made me think about something else I heard you say one time, which is, and I'm going to misquote you here. When you get into when you're a gladiator and you get into the ring, what does it expect to get smacked around, or what was what did you say?
It's a Brene Brown. It's a Brene Brown
okay.
from her book. Man, is it Daring Greatly? I don't know. It's her newest book that came out like last year, or the year before, 2018. And she says there is only one thing that you can be sure of, and that is when you get in the arena, you can expect to get your ass kicked. She has this whole keynote on it that is amazing. And at my salon, that's one of our core values. I enter the arena naked. That means with no armor on. We're willing to be vulnerable. We're willing to take off. Oh, it's amazing. Then when people like step up on your team, or if you're a salon owner and you're like, listen, let's go for this. I don't know the outcome. It's getting in the arena and not knowing what the outcome is going to be, because in the end, what matters truly, it sounds like so cliche. It really does. I know that. But really what does matter is you had the courage to get in the arena anyways. And what you learn in that sucker, that's all you need to take the next step. Truly.
That's great. I love it.
Thank you. I didn't come up with it, but thank you.
Well, but I think it is, you've made it part of you. And I think we all appreciate that. Is there any other just important nuggets you want to get out, or if you were on stage, you were going to hit us over the head with, and we missed that opportunity?
Yes, because I'm aware of the time. We got like 9 minutes.
Yeah.
I think, and this hit me, and I'm really glad that I'm remembering it, because like 10 minutes ago when I was talking, I was like, ooh, I want to say that if I can. There are many times, and I know how this feels, where you're a salon owner, or you're an artist, you're a stylist, a service provider, whatever it is, and you feel like you don't know the answer to whatever it is. I don't know what to do next, or I don't know how to do that, the how. Everybody wants to know how to do the how. You even said that. And the thing that I have learned the most since January 1st of this year is, yes, you do. You do know the answer. Even though we like to say, I don't know the how, or I don't know how to do that, that really is us just allowing ourselves to stay stuck.
Yeah, to give yourself an out, a pass to just sit on the sideline.
It's a reason to not implement. It's a reason that you can keep using to not implement and not experience failure. You do know what to do. And then when you take massive action, and massive action means you take a step of implementation, you do something about it, you're going to get an answer. And that answer is going to be favorable, or it's not going to be favorable. Both of those things teach you what to do next. You either do more of the favorable thing, or you switch something so you can get a different result. But so many times, Josh, we waste years, months, whatever it is, sitting and I don't know what to do. And it's like, just make the decision. I think that my power lives in my ability to make a decision. Even with you guys, anytime that you guys reach out to me and you guys are like, well, because you're like the king of questions, if you did not know. You're like, well, what do you think about this? Well, what do you think a topic would be on this? Well, what would you cover on this? I mean, the first thing my mind delivers is, I don't know. That's the first thing. I have no idea. Then I'm like, yes, you do, Heather. You do know. And you're going to sit here until you have an answer that you're going to send over. And then I'm able to make the decision and send it. Everybody else has that same power. And sometimes it's just bringing it into awareness for them to be like, I do know the answer. So what would it be? That's what I would want everybody to know.
Just to have confidence in their decision, and just like, my feeling, and I agree with you. I found in life, for me, sometimes we're always looking for the perfect answer, and there's just a series of right answers, and there never is, like, if you look for the perfect answer, you just get frozen. So sometimes you make a decision, and then you rally around that decision, and that's better than just deciding
not making one. And even this is the thing, though, we have to appreciate the times where we make a decision and we look back and it was the wrong decision, because gosh, this is just so played out. So people might tune people out when they say this. That's why I try to be like real dramatic about it so they listen to me. When
Are you gonna start crying?
No.
Please, we'll get our ratings up.
Definitely not gonna cry. When you make a wrong decision, though, that is literally the most precious piece of gold you could ever ask for. You will learn from it. You will do things differently from it. And even if it's a wrong decision, it was a decision that in that moment you used with your best intellect. And then in the future, you'll be so glad that you made that wrong decision because you'll be able to look back on it and gain intel from it.
Right. It got you to the right decision, whereas otherwise you wouldn't have learned you needed to know to get to the right decision. So
completely.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love it. Well, anything else you want to drop on
Man,
us?
This has never happened in the history of Heather Yurko. I've never ended anything early.
Well, the key to being on time for happy hour is you can only talk as long as your drink lasts. So that sort of keeps us on because you got to go refill it. But kidding aside, thank you very much for spending time with us. I know you're extremely busy, like we all are, trying to sort through this. I would say I was always excited, even more excited that hopefully in October when we can actually have the show to have you with our people. And, one of the things in parting, I would say, I really love this industry because of the people in it. And you're a great reason for that. I mean, you're making the industry better. And I really appreciate what you do. I know all of Art of Business does and all of the people in our community do. So thank you. And thank you to all the Art of Business peeps out there. I love you guys. Thanks for hanging with me. And we'll do a final cheers.
Hey, cheers, everyone. Happy Monday.
All right. Be well.